Hello. Today I will be talking about the new Xofu platform, which you can use to monitor your brand's visibility within LLMs. This will be a full demo where I explain how you can get a new account, create a project from that account, and view the data in the project's results. To start, let's head over to the pricing page where we can review our plan options. Each of these plans have a monthly and a yearly billing option, and will determine the number of projects you can create, the number of topics that can be assigned to each project, the number of prompts you'll have, the models you're monitoring, how many competitors you can track, the frequency of those tracking runs, and your capabilities when it comes to sharing the data and results with the rest of your team. Next, let's select the consultant plan, where we can review the offerings that come with the plan and make a selection on whether we'd like to renew monthly or yearly. We'll also review and accept the terms and conditions and then proceed to the checkout. Our checkout is partnered with Stripe. We use Stripe to manage our subscriptions and payments. This is where you can enter your card information, which I will do very quickly. And once you've reviewed these details and you're sure you'd like to subscribe, you can click subscribe and your subscription will be initiated. You'll be taken back to our site where we confirm that your account has been successfully activated, and this is when you can navigate to your dashboard. We'll toggle from the free default account to our newly purchased consultant account and opt to create the first project for this account. This is the Create Project screen where you'll be giving us the details we need to generate a new project for your brand. The first step is entering your brand's name. For this example, we are going to be using Chewy. And then we will go and gather some necessary information about your brand, which we can use to auto-populate the remaining fields. Once the first step is completed, we'll be moved on to step 2, which is competitors. We have a list of recommended competitors that we found here, which you can select from, and you will be able to select up to your plan's limit for competitors that you'd like to track on this project. For this project, we're going to be selecting Petco and PetSmart. If you select a competitor you would not like to compare, you can select and delete them here, and you can also add competitors that you did not find in the recommended list. Once you've decided you would like to move on with these competitors, you can confirm and move on to topic selection. On this step, we'll select the topics that we would like to associate with the project. The topics that we choose will inform the prompts that are generated on the next step and are a pivotal piece of your project's creation. You typically want to select topics that represent the competitive space between you and the competitors that you have chosen to compare with. So, two good examples for Chewy would be pet food and pet treats. We also offer this large menu of recommended topics. You can often find the topics that you add in this menu if you'd like to look for them there. If you don't find those topics in this menu, you can always add them here at the top. Once you've decided that you like the topics you've selected, we can generate prompts from those topics. This step will also take a moment. And the final step of creating a new brand project is to review prompts that have been generated by your topics. Here you can open these drop-down menus and look at the questions that were generated. These are the prompts that we will be passing directly to the LLMs and analyzing their responses. Once you've decided that you like these prompts, you can activate the brand project. When you activate a brand project, it will begin its first run immediately, meaning all of these prompts will be run through the LLMs. This will take some time to complete. While you're waiting, you can go back to the brand project dashboard and see that your brand project first run is in progress. Once this first run completes, you will receive an email notifying you that the data is there, and every subsequent time the brand project runs again in the coming weeks, you will see another email to notify you that your brand project has updated. All right, so as you can see, some time has passed and our run has completed. Before we open the project, I'm going to go to the account settings. This is where you could add other users of the platform to either view or make edits to your account and projects. You can just enter someone's email here and it'll send them the invite, and from there they'll be able to view your projects. So as you can see, the visibility score and citation count has shown up here for our project, and we can now open it to look at the data inside. When our project loads, we'll land on the overview page. This is just a high-level snapshot of how your project is doing based on the last run. At the top here, we have brand visibility scores. This is a score that we show in a lot of places, and it is compiled from 3 different metrics, which are explained in this little card here. Um, The 3 metrics that are used to determine your brand's visibility score are mention density, which is how frequently your brand appears in each of the responses, your position score, which evaluates where your brand shows up in those responses. Showing up earlier in the responses will score you higher than showing up later in the responses. And the last one of these metrics is visibility capture. Visibility capture is an average across all of the responses in your prompt set, where we look at specifically the responses where either your brand or one of your competitors showed up. If there is a response where your competitors showed up and you did not, that is where your visibility capture score would go down. So we also refer to the opposite of this visibility capture as visibility gap. So, like I just said, if your competitors are there and you aren't, you would have what we call a visibility gap for that specific response. All of those values are combined and then weighted to produce a score between 0 and 100, and that's how we get your brand visibility score. Under that, we have some small KPI stats to show you your last run's visibility capture, the number of times you were cited, competitors, and audience reach, which is a feature that will be coming soon. Here, we plan to look at organic traffic to the domains that were cited in the responses and give you an idea of the audience volume you'd be able to reach from your LLM citations. Down here at the bottom, we have mentioned trends. This is just the number of times that each brand was mentioned in the run based on the date. We also have top performing topics. This is the same brand visibility score you see above, but sliced down by topic, so you can see how they are different per topic. I'll also mention at this point that each of these cards can be exported as a PNG. Anywhere that you see these 3 little dots, that is something that you can export as a PNG to add to your Google slide or elsewhere. Moving on to the brand tab, this is where we can cut into the data a little more deeply. The first thing you'll notice is this header up here that gives us a lot of filters and toggle options for which responses we are looking at in the cards that we're viewing. So first over here, you can filter by the time range. You can select to view responses from the last 7 days, 30 days, 90 days, etc. This that would be that'll become more useful over time as your project evolves and more runs are captured. Next, you have the ability to group the responses by day, week, or month. So if you want to see the composite of all of your runs over a single month and then compare that to the next month, that's what this option would be for. Then we have score all responses. So to summarize what this does, by default, the scores you're seeing on these pages are only from responses where either your brand or competitors appeared at least once. We deem all of the other responses um, irrelevant to the brand visibility score and unscore them by default. And then if you were to toggle this, all of those responses, including the ones where no brands showed up, would be included in these figures. Um, I would say that keeping this untoggled is more useful if you would like to compare yourself to your competitors. Having this on is more useful if you were looking to compare all of the brands in the project against the entire prompt set to see what kind of visibility score you have across a specific set of prompts. Over on the right side, we can toggle by some of the things that we were deciding during project creation. This is the topics dropdown. You can see the topics we added earlier, and you can toggle those on and off to see how it'll change your visibility score. We also have funnel segment. For this project, we were only using bottom of the funnel questions, so we actually can't make changes here. But if you were to use a project with Multiple funnel segments, you would be able to toggle those too. Lastly, we have the platforms dropdown. If you were to look at just Google AI Overview responses, you can see the results change here. Now, this is the visibility tab of the brand page. It lets you see the visibility score and choose to toggle your competitors. And over on the right, we have a visibility score rank table where you can see these scores just laid out by rank and also the citation count for each of those. Moving on to topics, this is a display where you can look at the topics that you selected for the project and kind of get an overall view of how those topics were scored. So we have a overall score. This is very similar to the chart you saw on the overview page. We also have this quality metrics radar, which takes those three individual scores I was talking about, the mention density, position, and visibility capture. If you hover over each of the brands, you can see how the individual brand is affected on that quality metrics radar chart. And then you have a table of each of the individual scores and how each brand did and how it gets computed into the overall score. So like I said, you can view this for each of the topics you add to the project. We have a very similar view for funnel segment. So if you had multiple funnel segments on the project, you could flip between those and view these counts as well. Next, we have features. Features are identified within LLM responses, and we identify them per brand. And in this feature mentions and score section, you can see how many times was a feature mentioned for each brand across all of the responses. And at the end, view a radar chart of the most competitive features for that project run. Moving on, we next have the prompts tab. This is where you can view all of the prompts that were used to generate your project. We are looking specifically with respect to the main brand we picked, which is Chewy here. And you can look at Chewy's visibility score, share of voice, and response count for each of the prompts here. You can close these to look at specific ones. You can also filter by the visibility score and export these prompts as well to a CSV file. Last tab on the brand page is the platforms tab. This is where you can look at your visibility score and mention count divided up by platform and also view the score rankings per platform to see on which LLM platforms are you performing the best. I also forgot to mention up here in the top right, you are able to export all of the responses that were collected for the brand project. This includes the current run and all past runs. So if you collect a ton of responses over many weeks, you can export them all at once with this button up here. Next, we're going to be looking at the Citations tab. The Citations tab is where we look specifically at the citations that are cited in LLM responses. This is no longer concerning the mention count for each brand, and it is just looking at the sources that AI Overview and ChatGPT with Search use to source information in their responses. So on this first page here, as you can see, these filters at the top persist. You can use these filters on any of the tabs for citations and the brand page as well. This opening page, we have the citation share. It shows you what percent of all of the cited resources across all of the responses were from your domain, which in this case is chewy.com. We also see a rank table to show you all of these domains that were cited and the number of times each one was cited with its share percentage. Down here at the bottom, we have a bar that is made up of all of the citations as categorized by ownership, affiliation, whether it's a competitor, a social site, or an unclassified one. Classifying these citations is a manual process, so if you'd like to add citation types based on the domains that are used here, you can visit the settings. And in the settings here, you'll be able to add a domain, whether it's your own, a competitor's, and tag it. And once you tag these domains, you can come right back to the citations page and you'll see it affect this bar here. Um, this rank table on the right can also expand out into a full list that you can load and paginate. and see all of the websites and domains that were used in LLM responses, along with how many times each one was cited, how many unique pages was cited, the tag if you've added one. And for the individual domains, you can actually click in here and see the prompts, the topics, the funnel segments, and the platforms that each citation was categorized with. Moving on from this, you can also search on this table if you want to look for a specific domain. You can use this to filter down and find it. Next, we have the Domains tab, which is just a table view, once again, of all of the domains that were used in citations. You can see all of the information from that expanded tab and also click in to view them. We have the same thing for unique pages. This is where you can look at the most frequently cited unique pages, and also whether their domain is tagged, etc. You can click in once again to the page specific citations. And lastly, we have branded citations. So if you've tagged any of your if you've tagged any domains as owned, if you come to this tab, you'll be able to see specifically the owned domains and how many times each one of them was cited. You can export the citations that we collected up here in the top right in the same way that you can export the responses. And I think that concludes the Citations tab and the demo. So this is everything that you can do currently within a brand project on the Xofu platform. Thank you for taking the time to check this out.